At school the next day, Ajiha goes straight to Uda's classroom and asks him to head to the clubroom together. But Uda explains that he has a presentation to work on, suggesting that she go ahead and that he'll join her later. Feeling a little disappointed at first, Ajiha thinks it over and then decides to stay with him instead. She sits down in front of him, watching him intently, and says that she'll wait for him so he won't be alone. Uda tries to keep his composure, glancing around as he notices some of his classmates whispering and sneaking curious glances their way, clearly misinterpreting her dedication. Before he can fully convince Ajiha to give him some space, the pressure from his classmates' stares makes him hurry up with his work. Soon enough, he's done, and they head to the video game club together. When they enter the clubroom, they're met with an unexpected sight. Tsuru is sprawled across a chair, looking completely exhausted, almost lifeless. Ajiha and Uda exchange worried looks, wondering what could have happened. Tsuru gets up and sits down on a chair, looking tired. She begins to explain how her day went at the cultural festival play. During practice, she left the group and came to the clubroom because she felt uncomfortable being in a crowd. She struggles with speaking up around people, so she thought it was better to be alone. Ajiha didn't notice anything unusual and assumed Tsuru was enjoying herself. Ajiha even encouraged her to stay and practice, thinking it would be fun for her. However, Tsuru argued with Ajiha, expressing that being there felt hopeless and difficult for her. As they're talking, Otakogi arrives and lets them know he overheard their conversation. He appreciates that everyone is already there and encourages them to gather close to the microphone as they get ready to play the game. It turns out that the game controller is actually a microphone because the game is a theater game. The game, called Ashibedo, lets them act as characters on screen, allowing them to perform scenes and voice lines as if they're in a play. Ajiha is surprised by this feature, as she didn't know about it beforehand. Otakogi, who brought the game to the clubroom, eagerly explains its features to everyone. He mentions that although the game has only one microphone controller, it allows two people to play together, sharing the mic to take turns voicing their characters. With excitement, he turns to Tsuru and asks if she would like to try the game with him. Tsuru considers the offer and, after a brief pause, agrees, but only under one condition. She's willing to play if it's just the two of them. Feeling a bit nervous, she wants to ease into the game without too many eyes on her. Otakogi nods, happy that she's open to playing, and assures her it'll be just the two of them. They settle in and prepare to start. The game assigns roles automatically, and Tsuru's character soon appears on screen. However, as soon as she sees the role she's been given, her expression changes. She doesn't like the role at all and quickly tells Otakogi that she doesn't want to play if this is her character. The role doesn't suit her, and she feels uncomfortable acting it out. Otakogi, not wanting her to miss out on the experience, tries to encourage her. He points out that there are many different roles in the game, so she doesn't have to stick with the one she's been given. He urges her to browse the options and pick a role that she'll enjoy more. Tsuru, feeling reassured, scrolls through the list of available roles. After a few moments of consideration, she finds one that seems like a better fit, a doctor. The role appeals to her, as it feels calm and professional, suiting her personality. She selects the doctor role, and her character appears on the screen with a gentle, caring expression. Meanwhile, Ajiha, watching their preparations, decides she'd like to join in as well. She chooses the role of a cheerful town girl. As they start playing, Ajiha quickly realizes that the game is much more engaging than she expected. The interactive scenes and voice acting elements make it feel immersive and exciting. She finds herself getting drawn in, thinking she might even become addicted to it. Otakogi, watching Ajiha's enthusiasm, hopes that Tsuru will warm up to the game as well. He can tell that if she gets comfortable, she might enjoy it just as much. Later that night, Ajiha and her friend Uda decide to go to a cozy bar to unwind. Ajiha, still caught up in the thrill of the game, practices some of her lines aloud, as if she's back in the world of Ashibedo. Uda joins in, playfully practicing his own character's lines from the game, pretending to be fully immersed in his role. As they keep going, Uda begins to feel as if the game is blending into reality. The experience feels so real that he can almost imagine himself as his character. In a playful mood, Ajiha suddenly turns to Uda and, still partly in character, asks him to take her home. Uda is caught off guard by her request, blinking in surprise. On Sunday, Ajiha spots Uda near the electronics store in front of the station and hurries over to greet him. Uda looks surprised to see her, especially since they're both dressed in plain shirts, a simple style they haven't worn in a while. Ajiha cheerfully explains that the subs, her friends who usually join her for gaming, insisted on tagging along, But in the end, she decided she'd rather spend the day with Uda. She tells him with a light-hearted smile that she's counting on him to look after her for the day, hoping he won't mind. Uda, a little flustered and unsure how to respond, stands speechless for a moment. After collecting his thoughts, he asks her if their only plan for the day is to get her a new game console. He jokes that he's not even sure if he's really needed, making it clear he doesn't quite understand why she'd want him there. As they browse the store, Uda casually asks if Ajiha has never bought a game console herself before. He mentions that he knows she has a Game Boy and a PlayStation, and he's curious about her experience with gaming consoles. Ajiha, amused, fires back by asking him what kind of high school girl would be buying game consoles on her own. She goes on to explain that her dad and her gaming friends, the subs, used to play games with her, but lately, they've been less interested. Ajiha gazes around the electronics store, slightly overwhelmed by the variety of game consoles on display. She admits to Uda that while she knows there are many games and models out there, she's generally happy with just the basics. However, she adds that the newer consoles seem so complicated, and she's noticed that even the same model often has multiple versions, which can be confusing. Uda, trying to reassure her, says he doesn't think there's much difference between the various Switch versions. But Ajiha doesn't seem convinced. Her expression makes it clear she thinks otherwise. To make her point, she reaches in her bag and pulls out a strange, unfamiliar console she bought by mistake. Uda takes one look at it and immediately realizes she's been duped. It's a fake. He's genuinely surprised, and they both share a laugh about her accidental purchase. After that, they begin searching together for a genuine Switch, carefully checking each model on the shelves. Uda helps her spot the real consoles, guiding her as they go over the features and packaging to make sure it's authentic. Finally, they find an actual Switch, and Ajiha lights up with happiness. She thanks Uda warmly, appreciating his help in finding the right one. She feels confident that, with this experience, she'll be able to buy one on her own in the future. Ajiha heads over to the register, ready to pay for her new Switch. Uda waits, expecting her to return quickly, but after a few minutes, she comes back looking disappointed. She tells him that she didn't have enough money for everything. Confused, Uda mentions that she seemed to have brought enough. Ajiha explains that the cashier had recommended a few accessories to go with the Switch, and she was tempted to check them out. She now holds 2 baskets filled with extras. One has a table tennis grip attachment, and the other has a microphone for karaoke. She adds that if she signed up for a Wi-Fi contract, she could even get 2 free games, which made everything seem even more tempting. Seeing the pile of extras, Uda finally begins to understand why her friends, the subs, might worry about her impulsive buying. Determined to help her stick to the essentials, he suggests they keep things simple. He picks out a carrying case and a screen protector, 2 accessories he thinks will be most useful, and tells her to return the rest. Ajiha brightens up at the idea, grateful for Uda's practical approach. They head back to the register, and with Uda's advice, she's able to buy the Switch and the necessary items without going over budget. Once they leave the store, Uda helps Ajiha set up her new Switch, even offering to transfer her user profile from his Switch to hers. While they're working on it, Uda laughs and asks if she bought the Switch just to avoid borrowing his anymore. Ajiha chuckles and replies that it wasn't the reason at all. In fact, she didn't mind borrowing his at all, and now wonders why she felt the need to get her own in the first place. As they walk away from the store, Ajiha suddenly remembers a conversation she had back in the video game clubroom. She recalls asking Tsuru if she plays online games with Otakogi every night. Tsuru had responded that she logs in around 9 p.m. each evening, as she finds comfort in listening to Otakogi's voice during their late-night gaming sessions. Inspired by Tsuru's routine, Ajiha turns to Uda with a playful smile and says she wants to have a late-night date with him too, just like Tsuru and Otakogi. She asks if he'd be free that night for some online gaming. Uda, pleasantly surprised by her request, immediately agrees, saying he'd be happy to join her. All day, Uda can't stop thinking about his upcoming online date with Ajiha. Even though they're just playing games and won't actually be meeting in person, he knows Ajiha sees this as something special, and that thought makes him a little nervous. He knows it's going to be a different experience than usual. As he's lost in thought, his phone suddenly lights up with an incoming video call from Ajiha. Surprised, he hesitates for a moment before answering, not expecting their game night to start with a video chat. When he picks up, Ajiha greets him cheerfully, but she mentions that she's having trouble seeing him clearly on her screen. Uda quickly adjusts his phone and admits he didn't expect her to call on video, thinking they'd just use regular voice chat since they couldn't actually see each other's game screens. Ajiha insists that they keep the video call on. It makes the night feel more like a real date to her. Seeing her enthusiasm, Oda smiles and agrees. She lights up, clearly excited, and he notices that she's wearing pajamas. Ajiha happily points out that he's in pajamas too, which he thinks is cute. Oda, however, feels a bit self-conscious about being in his sleepwear on a call with a female classmate. He finds it a little strange, but is also touched that Ajiha wanted to match outfits to make the night feel more special. On the other end, Ajiha's heart races as she watches Uda on her screen, feeling unexpectedly shy. It's been a while since Uda's even worn pajamas, but he couldn't turn down her request, even if it was a bit unusual. Ajiha's quirky ideas sometimes surprise him. As the video call continues, Ajiha eagerly asks Uda what games they can play online together. Uda, excited to share this experience with her, tells her he is going to send her a friend request and an invitation to play. He suggests they try out some Famicom and Super Famicom games, which he knows she might enjoy. Ajiha's eyes light up at the mention of these classic games, and she enthusiastically replies that she would love to play. Once Uda sends the invite, Ajiha quickly searches through the selection of Famicom games. As she scrolls through the titles, she is amazed to see so many options available. Her excitement builds as she asks if all these games are free to play. However, when she discovers that the games are actually tied to the cost of a Nintendo Switch, her jaw drops in surprise. "I didn't even know that was profitable," she exclaims, feeling a mixture of wonder and disbelief. Ajiha is already developing a strong liking for these games, wishing she could play all of them at once. Uda isn't surprised by her enthusiasm. He knows that this is just typical Ajiha, always excited about new experiences. Feeling thrilled to finally play these classic games with someone, Ajiha reflects on how much fun it is to connect with Uda, even from afar. As they start playing together, she remembers that he might be able to see her messy room through the video call. Feeling a bit self-conscious, she asks Uda if he minds the state of her room, which she hasn't had a chance to tidy up. Uda is focused on the game, but suddenly, he hears his mother enter his room. She is surprised to see that the lights are still on and that he is awake so late. Panic sets in, and he quickly tells her a small lie, claiming he just plans to go to sleep soon. He doesn't want her to know he is playing games at this hour. Once she leaves, he turns off his room lights, making sure to keep the atmosphere low-key. Returning to his game, Uda puts on his headphones to muffle the sounds of the gameplay and Ajiha's voice. As Ajiha sees that Uda puts on his headphones, she grabs her own as well, eager to continue their gaming session. They dive back into the game, laughter and excitement filling the virtual space between them. The next day, Uda wakes up late, instantly aware that it is due to the late-night gaming session with Ajiha. Her enthusiasm and persistence to play more games keep them engaged far longer than he intended. He promises himself to be more careful next time, knowing that staying up late can affect his day. Meanwhile, Ajiha is still fast asleep, wrapped in her blankets. Her sisters attempt to wake her, trying to rouse her from her slumber. Even after she finally gets dressed, she remains drowsy, barely registering their calls. She doesn't even realize that it was Uda who kept her up late the night before. When her sisters discover this, they are shocked. Uda and Ajiha stand side by side, their eyes scanning the various games laid out before them. Ajiha playfully declares that Uda will be the challenger, suggesting they can attempt to beat each game as many times as they want. She promises him a reward if he manages to clear even one of them, which leaves Uda feeling flustered yet intrigued by the challenge. As Ajiha reassures him, she notes that the games are notoriously difficult. She points out that Uda has only been playing recent, easier titles and hasn't yet experienced the true challenge of the Famicom. This fires Uda up even more, and he eagerly selects his first game, only to quickly realize just how tough it really is. The moment he starts, the game's punishing difficulty becomes apparent. Uda struggles through various titles, each one more challenging than the last. He soon finds himself staring at the screen, feeling defeated as he mutters that only the game creators must know the secrets to winning, since there isn't a single hint to guide him. His frustration mounts as he moves to another game, only to be eliminated right after he begins. Dumbfounded, he wonders what kind of game this is, feeling a mix of disbelief and annoyance. Meanwhile, Ajiha watches him with amusement, laughter bubbling up as she remarks on his struggles. Hashizora enters the clubroom to check on everyone and see how they are doing. However, she is surprised to find the game Uda is playing, which she claims is unmistakably an electric drug. She rushes over to him, asking him to stop playing the game, but he yells at her for disturbing him. She notices that he is in a state of mental confusion, mumbling to himself as he plays. Hashizora tries to pull him out of his reverie. Meanwhile, Ajiha suggests that Hashizora should play instead, encouraging her to try Spelunker, a game known for starting the main character off weak, where even tripping can mean game over. As expected, Hashizora quickly gets a game over. Ajiha thinks the games are nearly impossible for Uda as well. Soon after, Tsuru arrives and decides to try playing Spelunker 2. She confidently claims that 15 minutes is enough to clear the game, leaving the others shocked that she can play such an impossible game so easily. She then tells them there's no such thing as an impossible game and promises to show them Rodimus Prime, amazing everyone. Hashizora enters the club room, stating that she is here for an examination. The others look at her, and Uda remarks that the club activity examination should be over. Hashizora responds that she is not a club activity examinee, but a temporary member of the Cultural Festival Execution Committee. She explains that she is a messenger tasked with keeping the peace at the cultural festival and protecting the school's healthy cultural activities. Otakogi tells her that they are not planning to do anything for the cultural festival, which surprises Hashizora, along with Ajiha, who insists that it is the cultural festival. Otakogi replies that the video game club is just a club for playing games, so they usually don't participate in the cultural festival anyway. However, Ajiha insists that they can find something to do, even asking Uda for ideas. Uda suggests lining up all the games from the club and letting people play freely, but Hashizora surprisingly disagrees, saying it's not creative enough. She adds that if a club with a lot of activities like theirs does nothing for the cultural festival, they need to show what only they can do. Ajiha agrees, saying they will give it some thought the next day. The next day, Ajiha holds a meeting with the club members to discuss the game cultural festival project online. She has thought over Hashizora's advice from the previous day and considered what abilities each club member has. First, she assigns the president to be the engineer because he is good at building things. Then, she turns to Tsuru and asks her to be a live pro gamer to showcase her excellent gaming abilities. However, Tsuru, who is quite shy, claims that she cannot do that in front of people. She asks if they can do a recording instead, but Ajiha and Otakogi tell her that it has to be in public, so that it will be more exciting. After some hesitation, Tsuru eventually agrees to perform live. Next, Ajiha assigns Uda to be the game creator, which shocks him. Ajiha explains that she chose him for this role because he has used RPG Maker before. Uda immediately tries to explain himself, saying that it was back in middle school and that he had only touched it a little bit back then. However, Ajiha does not seem convinced. She insists that she wants to play games that are made by Uda, and he realizes he has no choice but to agree to take on this responsibility. Ajiha then realizes that she does not have any role to play in the project. Seeing this, the club members suggest that she can be the producer. Uda adds that as the producer, she must ensure that the things she wants them to do actually come true. Ajiha feels a mix of emotions as she thinks about this responsibility. She starts to realize that this might be Uda's way of getting revenge on her for something. They gather together to review their plans for the cultural festival. Otakogi suggests that at the end of the festival, they could launch fireworks. He wonders what kind of couples would enjoy watching them together. Hashizora chimes in, saying that it has become a tradition. She explains that legends say couples who watch the fireworks together will be together forever. However, she quickly adds that she has to ban the activity, claiming that having fireworks on school grounds is too dangerous. She insists that she is showing her power of justice by making this decision. After that, Hashizora approves the other activities they proposed, which makes Ajiha very excited. She encourages Uda to do his best as the game creator for the festival. On Saturday, Ajiha decides to visit Uda's house to check out the RPG he is working on. When she arrives, Uda tells her that since she is coming over, he hasn't had time to make it yet, as he was planning to think it over. Ajiha responds that it's not a problem, because she can play something else that he has already created. She starts to check out a game he made before called Eternal Destiny. Uda feels overwhelmed with embarrassment as he watches her play the game. He quickly tells her to stop, explaining that he hasn't finished creating it yet, and that he should be making something new for the cultural festival instead. He starts by creating the database for the game, planning to mix various resources within it to create different events. As he piles everything up, it begins to feel like an actual game. Ajiha wants to give it a try, and is surprised to discover that she can create her own character. As she inputs her ideas into the game, she realizes that she is beginning to understand what eternal means in this context. She has so many ideas to include, but struggles to keep up with the pace of the game creation. Uda continues working on the game, promising that he will try his best to finish it to meet Ajiha's expectations. On Monday, in class, Ajiya surprises Uda with a new keyboard controller. He feels excited as he has never seen one in real life, even though he knows they exist. He expresses his gratitude for the gift, and Ajiya tells him that she wants to help him, even just a little bit. She apologizes, explaining that it is a second-hand controller because she doesn't have much money left after buying a Switch. Uda is taken aback by her thoughtfulness, and his motivation increases even more. He even says he can work on the game during class. Ajiha quickly tells him to lower his voice, as other students are staring at them. With only 10 days left until the cultural festival, Uda is filled with worry as he tries to figure out what kind of game he should create. Earlier that day, Tsuru is seen playing a very challenging game while other club members watch. Ajiha asks her why she is avoiding the enemies, to which Tsuru replies that she has figured out their pattern. However, the other members know that it's not as easy as she claims. They are all impressed by her skills. Ajiha remarks that Tsuru's game show will surely be a huge success. Otakogi then chimes in, saying that his original controller will also gain a lot of attention, as he has put a lot of fighting spirit into it. Ajiha expresses her excitement about Uda's original game, but this only adds to Uda's anxiety. He sits in his room, feeling overwhelmed. He wonders how he can make a game that will measure up to Tsuru's incredible skills. He thinks that if he just needs to complete the game, a simple RPG would suffice. To gather inspiration, he checks online for impressive games made with RPG tools, and is amazed to see that someone has created a version of Zelda using the RPG Maker. This makes him think that he should be able to create something amazing that Ajiha would praise. However, the next day he is shocked to see that Otakogi has built an incredible controller that is not just any controller, but a rideable and playable armored core. Ajiha tries it out and is completely blown away by its functions, declaring that everyone will love to try it. As she admires Otakogi's creation, she mentions that now all that is left is Uda's game. This puts even more pressure on Uda, who is now thinking that if his game isn't amazing, it won't be good enough for the festival. Uda is completely afraid that people might not enjoy his game at all. Remembering how Ajiha even bought him a keyboard controller to help with his game creation, he pushes himself to get back to work. Later, he is seen in the clubroom with Ajiha and the others. They realize that he has finished creating the game, and Ajiha decides to play it. Uda feels very nervous as he sits quietly to the side, anxiously watching her. The game turns out to be about their lives, with avatars representing each of them, along with many intriguing events featuring not just the club members, but others as well. As Ajiha plays, her excitement and happiness show through, and Uda can't help but feel emotional. He tells her that he made the game for her, explaining that when he was brainstorming ideas for the cultural festival, he felt unsure of what the right answer was. However, thinking about how Ajiha and others would enjoy it sparked some ideas in him. He feels relieved that she likes the game, knowing that he worked hard to create it throughout the night. Ajiha praises him, telling him he did well. Otakogi chimes in, saying that since Ajiha loves games and enjoys this one, anyone who tries it will likely have fun too. With this encouragement, they all look forward to the cultural festival. At the opening of the cultural festival, Hashizora is surprised by the sight of the armored core. Otakogi proudly tells her that she will understand its appeal once she rides it. Hashizora gives it a try, but she becomes totally scared by the realistic effects of the controller, letting out a scream that attracts the attention of other students nearby. Afterward, Ajiha takes Hashizora to find Tsuru, asking her if she wants to play Mario Maker 2. Ajiha mentions that they can challenge the speedrun stage, which has a clear rate of less than 0.1%. Hashizora argues that such a game is impossible to win, but Ajiha assures her that their pro gamer, Tsuru, can do it. Many students gather around, amazed by Tsuru's impressive gaming skills. Curious, Hashizora then asks what Uda is doing over in a corner. Ajiha explains that he is playtesting his game, checking for bugs before the customers arrive. Hashizora notices how serious he looks and jokes that with his overly serious expression, no customer would dare approach him. Determined to help, she decides to be the first customer, hoping to encourage others to join in. However, Ajiha immediately steps in, suggesting that they should play Uda's game together. They both jump into the game, and soon everyone watching is surprised and intrigued by how engaging it is as the girls navigate through the challenges. Their excitement spreads, drawing more students to see what the fuss is about. As lunchtime approaches, the crowd begins to disperse. Ajiha brings Uda along to get some food for the others in the club. On their way, she suggests they stop to buy some crepes. They head to the stall where the crepes are being made, but the ladies working there mistakenly think that Uda and Ajiha are on a date. They quickly clarify that they are just buying food for the game club. After they buy the crepes, Uda shyly gathers the courage to ask Ajiha if she would like to walk around the cultural festival together once they finish their shopping. Ajiha playfully teases him, suggesting that he is actually asking her out on a date and comments that he has gotten better at it. With a smile, she agrees to his invitation. They are both seen at a ninja club booth where Ajiha is having a blast throwing shuriken. She seems to have a natural talent for it, hitting the targets consistently. Uda, on the other hand, tries to join in using his origami shuriken, which he crafted from paper, but unfortunately misses the target completely. The members of the ninja club chuckle and gently inform him that origami shuriken can only fly if they have a specific mechanism. Despite his miss, they all share a good laugh, enjoying the friendly atmosphere. As they continue their adventure around the cultural festival, Ajiha and Uda try out various games, their excitement building with each new challenge they face. They play everything from ring toss to mini golf, enjoying each other's company and the vibrant festival atmosphere. Meanwhile, Otakogi is busy at a nearby booth, passionately explaining a game that Tsuru is currently playing to a growing audience. As he shares tips and strategies, a female classmate named Satome approaches them. She greets Otakogi warmly and remarks on how surprising it is that he is still managing to run a stall at the cultural festival, despite needing to prepare for entrance exams. Otakogi responds, explaining that, as the club president, this cultural festival is significant for him. It's likely to be the first and last one he oversees. Satome nods in agreement, sharing that she, too, is focused on her studies. She wonders aloud if she should have devoted herself to a club activity like Otakogi. Satome encourages Otakogi to attend class, despite his involvement in the cultural festival. She insists it's important to keep up with his studies, to which Otakogi replies that he will make sure to go later, promising to balance his responsibilities. As their conversation wraps up, Tsuru, who has been watching quietly, suddenly looks glum. She realizes that Otakogi's involvement in this cultural festival is significant since he is in his final year, and it dawns on her that this might be his last festival as a student. Feeling a bit overwhelmed by the thought, she decides to excuse herself and heads off to check out the class play instead, hoping to lift her spirits. Meanwhile, Uda and Ajiha are seen enjoying the aftermath of their fun day together. Ajiha playfully rates their date, giving it a score and teasing Uda to aim for an even higher score next time. She laughs and bids him farewell, leaving him with a smile as he reflects on their enjoyable time together. Just then, a public announcement crackles over the loudspeakers, grabbing everyone's attention. The announcer informs the crowd that there will soon be a performance from the Fireworks Club. Another announcement rings out, this time from the Fireworks Club, announcing that they are set to put on a fireworks show for everyone to enjoy. Hashizora, looking concerned, approaches a member of the Fireworks Club to voice her worries. She reminds them that the activity had previously been banned due to safety concerns. However, the club member confidently reassures her, explaining that the Fireworks Club has always collaborated with professionals to ensure everything is safe. He argues that Hashizora doesn't have the authority to impose a ban on any club's activities, leaving her feeling frustrated but unable to enforce her wishes. As the first fireworks burst into the night sky, Ajiha and her friends watch in awe, their faces illuminated by the colorful lights. Ajiha's excitement builds, and she instinctively looks around for Uda to share the moment with him. However, she suddenly realizes that he is not there with her. Feeling a pang of disappointment, she quickly decides to leave her friends behind, telling them she wants to aim for a high score. She races toward the clubroom, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and urgency. When she finally reaches the room, she finds Uda dozing off in a chair, completely unaware that the fireworks have already ended. Ajiha notices that Uda is still holding his game pad, suggesting that he must have been immersed in playing his game after the last customers left. As he stirs awake, he blinks in surprise when he sees Ajiha standing there. She approaches him, revealing her disappointment that the fireworks show is over. However, she quickly reassures him that they can still experience a similar moment by watching the game's ending, which features a fireworks display. Uda's face lights up with pride as Ajiha admires the effort he put into the game, realizing he incorporated fireworks into the finale based on her previous suggestion. Her heart swells with gratitude, appreciating how the game reflects his feelings and thoughts. Suddenly, a loud bang erupts outside, causing them to jump. They rush to the window, their eyes widening in awe as a massive firework blooms in the night sky, echoing the animated display from Uda's game. Tsuru rushes through the hallways, her heart racing as she hears that the fireworks club show is about to begin. The excitement around her is palpable, but her thoughts are clouded with anxiety about missed opportunities. In the classroom, the students reflect on their recently completed roleplay, discussing their near mistakes. Tsuru feels a pang of regret as she realizes she didn't even get a single line, fearing she would have fumbled if given the chance. Meanwhile, the girls chatter eagerly about the upcoming fireworks finale, sharing a myth that claims if two people watch the finale together, they will be tied together forever. A sense of urgency washes over Tsuru as she contemplates her feelings for Otokogi. With graduation looming, she realizes this may be her last chance to experience the moment with him. She steals a glance at him as he chats with Satome and other classmates, watching the fireworks light up the sky, yet feeling a profound sense of longing for a connection that might slip away.